Transformation isn't about chasing the latest technology. It's about making smarter business decisions. In this episode, John Coniglio, senior consultant at OSF Digital, shares an advisor's perspective on how organizations are leveraging AI across commerce, service, and marketing, and how strong governance and executive oversight turn those investments into real revenue impact. Because in today's landscape, strategy matters just as much as innovation.
John, could not be more excited to have you on the show today. There's a million things we need to demystify, and there's only one guy I thought to call in this situation. So I'm really excited to have you on the show today, John. I'm going to dive right into the questions so we can make the best use of our time. But, when we think about the landscape that we're looking at and where AI sits, right now, is AI actually increasing sales, or is it just automating busy work?
Well, thanks for having me. This is one of my favorite topics, so we'll get right into it. So, yeah, AI definitely reduces human error, but it can reduce systemic errors. So, based on inaccurate input data, algorithm bias, possibly model drift. That can be a little dangerous. An AI pricing engine that, works perfectly in like a low inflation environment may start to make some bad decisions when inflation spikes because its training data is just no longer relevant. So we have to be aware of that.
So I want to take this conversation in three separate sections, but I first want to start with commerce. So let's start closest to the money. Pricing engines are adjusting in real time. Promotions are automatically triggered. Inventory decisions are increasing without human review. In theory, this could mean smarter decision-making, higher sales. But in practice, many organizations are still trying to answer the fundamental question of, are these systems actually improving revenue, or are they just making these decisions go faster? So there's a difference between the automation and advantage that becomes real. So where have you seen AI directly change a revenue number and not just a process?
So a good example would be, travel, hospitality, where there's dynamic pricing. So everyone's aware of that, I'm sure, today. Real-time adjustments based on demand, competitor rates. We'll look at those as well. So the older algorithms were like step functions. So, it would say if 80% of the seats are sold on a flight, increase by 10%. So they're pretty rigid, reactive, didn't really take into account any external variables like local events or any kind of shifts in the competition. So the modern models use reinforcement learning. They take in thousands of signals simultaneously, like weather, local search volume, real-time inventory across the entire market. So AI-based models predict the maximum a specific segment is willing to pay at that exact minute.
So which commerce decisions are generally better automated today, and which require that kind of human trust layer, the human judgment?
Well, conversion rates are, really the main metric companies are looking at when they're using AI to boost their business. So example would be, vector search used in intent-based search engines. They understand the intent of a shopper. So give me a beach party outfit. It understands that concept as opposed to just searching for keywords. So it becomes much more effective, and that obviously boosts conversion rate when you can get customers to the products they're looking for quickly. So those high frequency, low regret decisions are good place to start. And people use so many different tools. So any kind of engines used for bidding on keywords, for marketing, inventory replenishment for staple goods, right? And those that you're constantly selling, you can let them go and automate. So where you need some judgment here is when you're making some decisions to the brand and the brand voice. Decisions about like taking a loss leader position to enter a new market, or managing inventory during an unprecedented global supply chain crisis, where the historical data may not be relevant or accurate. So humans must be in the loop at certain points in time.
So from pricing to promotions, bundling inventory, where is the line?
Good question. There's the line is drawn when humans need to make some decisions when things go off the rails. So humans still have to look at patterns, have to look at behaviors, and look at the outliers and make some decisions that need to guide and adjust where the AI is taking you. We're getting to the point where these tools are really doing a great job in identifying the outliers and making suggestions. But then, humans still need to make decisions about what to do next.
So shifting to customer service, this is often the first place that companies are deploying AI, and the easiest place often to cut costs. But the lower costs often don't mean a stronger customer relationship or even a higher customer lifetime value. So talking about where AI in service truly improves retention and trust and where it quietly creates friction that can turn into churn. Um, will AI in customer service be able to improve lifetime value, or will it just be used as kind of a cost center, a place where we can lower the cost to serve?
At this point in time, the answer is both, and it depends on the company objectives, of course. So if it's purely cost to serve, companies will optimize for like deflection. So if you want to open up a chatbot, an automated chatbot for customer service, you're deflecting, you're preventing humans from being reached, and you're going to expand your capability of serving customers using automation. So the efficiency thing is measured by how many tickets were closed rather than whether the customer's problem was actually solved. So a customer that's deflected to an automated bot still has unresolved issues. So then you've got a churn risk. Then you're damaging the brand at that point.
Are those goals ever in conflict?
They can be, but you should at this point be able to work them on both ends. So the friction can occur with circular loops. LLM-based bots provide, technically correct but practically useless answers, and users unable to escape to a human. That's when you're damaging things. The one thing you should really be careful about is when there's empathy critical moments. So handling bereavements, high value financial disputes, service failures. Research actually shows customers are more loyal to a brand that handles a mistake gracefully than one that just never made a mistake at all, actually. So automating apologies makes it feel really insincere.
So where do AI assistants create friction instead of removing
it? They create friction when you are in a circular loop and you just can't get the results that you're looking for. So there's the friction. And to find that out, you've got to do some really deep analysis of how an AI is interacting with your customers. Look for patterns in engagement data, repeat questions, frustration in the chats. In fact, you can even use AI tools to inspect all that data and call out when things are going south. But you also need to get feedback from your customers about their experience, just like you would with human, agents. You need to ask your customers how we're doing when an automated chatbot is interacting with them.
So what are the early warning signs that executives should watch out for?
Basically, the feedback from customers. If you're not getting that, you're in trouble. So the warning signs would be any kind of complaints about service levels or quality of service. That's, when it comes to customer-facing AI chatbots, that's the one thing you've really got to dig into. That's the riskiest, when you think about it, because you're exposing it to customers. That needs to be governed properly. There need to be guardrails in place on what it can say and what it cannot say. So again, looking at the feedback and the results of the chats is really important.
So what service moments should never be automated, even if AI can handle it?
Like I said before, automating an apology is probably not a good idea to do. Anytime you've got to work with your customer and solve problems that are not typical, you need to get a human in the loop very quickly. So, but there's plenty of automation that can be done without humans in the loop. Things like personalization based on lots of customer data, really effective in driving the top line sales. There's just many examples where AI is useful when you're talking about volumes. So if you want to increase the number of blogs you produce a day, sure, use AI to help you do that. Can be very you can actually collaborate with AI to come up with new ideas, but you need to be careful when it comes to representing what the brand is all about.
So, moving to our next kind of group of topics here, I'd love to talk a little bit about marketing, which is another great way to strengthen customer trust and relationships. It's the seat that I sit in. It's what I'm most interested in. Marketing teams now have AI that can generate content, it can personalize messages, it can optimize campaigns, and it can do that all at scale, all at a scale that no human team could ever reach. The question isn't whether it's efficient, it's whether it's effective. So I want to explore how AI can actually create new demand and differentiation, or it can simply optimize brands into kind of sameness, right? So is AI helping teams discover new demand or just optimize things that they already do?
Yeah, so most companies do use AI for optimization, tweaking email subject lines and measuring the effects of that, or ad spends for known audiences. It's pretty common. That discovery happens when an AI identifies lookalike audiences or hidden correlations. For example, retailers discovering customers who buy power tools are also likely to buy gardening equipment. Putting those data points together and making really high performing personalized recommendations. So the difference is optimization leads to incremental gains, maybe 1 or 2% better click-through rates or conversion rates. Even discovery leads to market expansion, so new revenue streams, increasing top-line growth.
So is AI-driven personalization actually lifting conversion or retention in a measurable way? And where is it failing?
So when it's lifting conversion, personalization can reduce the time or the cognitive load of shopping for products. So here's the exact link for the item that you are looking for, or based on what you're searching for, gets you right there, right, without having to search further or going back and use the categories. It fails when it's noisy, so a lot of retargeting noise. Showing a customer an ad for a product they already bought is it really can be annoying and a killer. So the AI, the budget you're spending on AI is to show irrelevant messages, which erodes brand trust. Is not money well spent.
So how do you prevent AI from optimizing marketing into sameness, where every brand sounds exactly the same, optimized for the ideal use case for every person?
Oh yeah, the sameness effect, right? Even though LLMs are designed to produce results that vary, it's built into their algorithms. Brands using the same LLM to write product copy do run the risk of becoming indistinguishable. So, got to be cognizant of that. So, how do you prevent that? Use AI to generate the bulk of the content, but reserve the brand polish for humans. So, the data heavy parts, perfect for AI, specs, features, even collaborating with AI and new ideas, fine, right? But make sure humans are looking at the narrative and the voice of the brands. Really important to have those controls in place.
So the last piece that I want to talk about is that I think a piece that really often gets missed in corporate strategies, which is the risk management piece of it, right? It's not sexy. You're not going to put it on the company website, but every AI decision inherently carries some sort of risk, whether it's financial, operational, reputational, even when it's working as it's designed. Fraud detection, credit decisions, pricing errors, and compliance issues often live outside of the growth conversations that people are having until something actually breaks, right? So given the potential risks of new AI applications, companies will often have to adopt AI risk management programs, especially in those regions that don't have regulatory environments. So in the final part of our discussion, I want to take a look at the way leaders can balance kind of the speed to automation with control on how risk management can either protect revenue or quietly erode it. So Is AI meaningfully reducing financial or operational risk, or is it just shifting?
Yeah, it's a great question. So I think I talked about this earlier about reducing human errors, right? Good, good application of AI for that, but it may introduce systemic errors. So governance of AI is critical for making sure that you are reducing risk and not introducing new risk. And that's where the governance comes into play, and that's why it's really important for companies that are looking to implement AI. They need to know that it's you can't just set it and forget it. You've got to be really diligent about understanding how to put guardrails in place to manage that risk, or you can get into trouble really quickly.
Okay, so when we think about automation errors, where do automation errors create downstream revenue risk that execs often are underestimating?
Yeah, sure. So, I mean, you can imagine some really poorly controlled automations, causing some issues, like, especially if, like, you're talking about automating pricing. An automated race to the bottom can wipe out a quarter's margin in hours by constantly shifting prices. um, Bias in your reputation. So, like, a credit scoring AI inadvertently discriminates against a demographic. My God, imagine that. So, the legal fees and PR damage can be, outweigh all the efficiency gains. So, uh, you know, again, control and governance is critical here. Set it and forget it can be very dangerous.
So, what governance questions should leaders ask to ensure that AI is driving growth and not quietly eroding trust or margin?
Sure. I mean, you can really start simple. So if this model makes a $1 million mistake today, who is accountable? How quickly can we stop anything that's dangerous from happening immediately? So you really have to be prepared to react to any kind of large shifts in behaviors, or automations that will cause some serious issues that are hard to recover from, but you need to be able to stop the bleeding immediately. So it's an important governance question. How can we stop the bleeding?
So, with the last little bit of time here, just to wrap up this conversation, we've talked about the kind of the different areas where AI is exposed in the business right now. Uh, uh, if you were to turn off all of your AI tomorrow, where would a business feel it immediately, and where wouldn't it?
Yeah, so think about some of the things that are so intertwined with the way you do business today, and they've probably been in place for several years. AI is not new, so personalization and search results would become less relevant if you turned off, anything that would generate those automatically. Immediate drop in conversion rates, so you're going to lose revenue there. Logistics, inventory forecasting, without predicting outcomes, will lead to more overstocks or stockouts. And of course, fraud. Going back to the old way of holding high value transactions and doing manual reviews by humans, it'll cause bottlenecks, and you'll risk your shipping SLAs. We've been accustomed to leveraging AI tools over the years. It's not new. A lot of the other way of thinking about AI is just algorithms that would do these automations. So we've been used to living with those for many years. So turning any of the AI algorithms off, you're going to go back to some behaviors that you may not be able to handle, or outcomes you may not be able to handle. Um, so, what's the minimum impact? The busy work, reduce the number of daily blog posts, right? Okay, so that's fine. Your core brand identity and customer loyalty, won't be tarnished or vanish, right, immediately. Um, Turning off some AI generated insights into your quarterly reports. You won't it won't kill you. You'll still be able to get to the data with your reporting tools, but it'll be more difficult for you to really dig into the insights that these AI tools are good about surfacing when it's looking through your data.
So, John, to wrap us up here, what's the executive takeaway?
really think it's important to consider AI governance immediately. If you haven't done so already, now's the time to create an AI center of excellence. You can establish policies for responsible AI usage, processes to leverage AI tools effectively without risking damage to the brand identity. There really needs to be humans governing AI in an organization, and of course, doing the research to identify all the amazing capabilities and tools that are evolving and being created today.
Thank you, John.
My pleasure. Have a great day.
Thanks for listening to Let's Talk Business Transformation by OSF Digital. Follow us for more episodes and visit osf.digital to learn more.